Hi guys, welcome to today's video. I have my full foundation and contour routine for you guys today. I had a lot of fun filming this video because it's something I haven't really filmed on camera yet. I kind of did in my first video, but that was just like, for lack of a better words, it was kind of a train wreck, okay? It was my first video. This is really a go-to look for me. I use this look all the time, and when I'm not talking to you guys and explaining everything to you, it honestly takes me like maybe 15 to 20 minutes. I wanted to really sit in depth and talk to you guys and teach you how I do each step of my foundation and contour routine. So this goes from everything from my nose contour to my cheeks, how I blush, where I highlight. Everything is really included in this tutorial, and I'm really excited to share everything with you guys. It's taken me a long time to get to this routine and to figure out what exactly works for my type of skin, for my face shape, for everything. It takes a long time to find the right foundation and contour routine, and honestly, I'm sure in a few months it's going to change for me again, but right now this is what I really like. This is what looks the best on me. You know, this look is very full coverage, but it is also really natural and fresh looking, and that's exactly what I want. So if you guys like this tutorial, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you guys enjoy my channel, please don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you guys get notified every time that I post. If you guys want to see my full foundation and contour routine and want to see how I got this look today, please keep watching. Okay, so we're gonna just jump in and start doing our foundation, but first we are going to prime. So I have my Curology moisturizer on my face right now. My face is very smooth. I have been a little bit more dry lately. Now that we're moving into like spring/summer though, I am starting to get oily again, and I'm noticing that my pores are kind of coming out again on my cheeks and on my nose. So I purchased a new primer. It's the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. I know that you guys have probably all heard of it. If you guys haven't, it's technically kind of like a more revolutionary product on the market because Tatcha, a brand who I love, they came out with the Poreless Primer through their line, and it's like $52. It's a little bit expensive. I will say it's beautiful. The finish is amazing. It smells really nice. I love that primer, but I've used all of that primer. So I'm going to be using this guy now, and I'm going to try it out, see how I like it. I have no idea. I know that I saw Jeffree Star do kind of like a, you know, is it approved, you know, beauty battle thing that he does, and you know, he said that he really noticed no difference between the e.l.f. primer and the Tatcha primer. I'm really interested to see how this guy does. I know that I will for sure be buying the Tatcha one again. I love that primer, but I just thought for the hell of it, why not just try this guy and see how it does? You just kind of have to stick I just stick my nail in it and just kind of like work it into my skin. It smooths out really nicely, and I'm just going to massage this into the skin, focusing more around my nose area and around my cheeks where I usually have a lot of pores. I'm getting it underneath my eye as well. And then I'm blending just a little bit underneath my jawline as well. So the primer is on. It honestly feels really similar to the Tatcha, like consistency wise, and just like it went on very smooth. My skin is a little bit tacky. It says to wait like 30 seconds, so I'm just going to wait a few seconds, and then I'm going to start going in with my foundation. So for foundation today, I'm going to be using my Maybelline Matte Poreless Foundation in the shade Ivory, and then I'm also going to be taking my L'Oreal Fresh Wear Foundation in the shade Beige Ivory. And we're going to just be mixing those two together and applying them onto the face. I'm going to just take my Bobbi Brown Full Coverage Face Brush, and I'm just going to kind of dot it all over my face first. So far it's looking really nice and flawless, just like how the Tatcha primer is. Props to e.l.f. because it really does feel very similar. I'm making sure to really press the foundation into my nose and around my nose. Now we're going to move in with a little bit of concealer. So I'm going to be taking probably two different ones. I'm going to be taking my Stay Naked Correcting Concealer, and I'm going to be taking my Morphe 1.35 Concealer, and I'm going to be combining those underneath my eyes. I'm going to be taking the Naked Concealer and really keeping it concentrated right here on this inner corner, and on this side as well. And then I'm going to be taking the Morphe Concealer and kind of using it to blend underneath. And then I'm going to do just a touch here and a touch here. A little bit down the nose. I really like to keep it a little bit on the lighter side with my concealer when I'm doing my full face, just because I have tried doing that full coverage, you know, triangle underneath, and you know, I just can't do it. It just doesn't look good on my face. I don't know what it is. I just don't really have the face to do like a full coverage look like that. I want it to look as natural as possible, so I like to keep the concealer a little bit more minimal. And I'm gonna just go underneath my eye now and just blend that out. And now the motion I'm using, I'm kind of tapping it underneath my eye like that, and then I am kind of going like this in that kind of triangular motion, and I'm kind of dragging it down to the side of my nose as well, and kind of up to the side of my nose. So that's what it's looking like, blended from one side to the other. And then I just take a little bit on my chin just to highlight it. I don't want it to be like really, really white, and I don't want it to be like really, you know, dull and flat. So I like to just take a little bit right in the center and just kind of make it pop a little bit. And then I'm gonna blend this out as well. Using that same technique, I kind of drag it out to the side first, and then I come back in and I pull it down and then blend it into a triangle shape. So that's what that should be looking like thus far. You should have, you know, your foundation nice and smoothed out on your face, a little bit of concealer just to brighten up your eyes a bit. And now what I'm gonna do, because I cannot stand having foundation in my eyebrows, I'm gonna take a paper towel, just a dry paper towel, and I'm gonna just go like this through my brow. And I do this when I'm not filming. When I'm filming, all the time I have to do this. It just drives me crazy to have a ton of foundation sitting in my brow. So I know that some people say that you can leave your, you know, foundation kind of left in your brows, because when you go over it with a brow product, it's gonna like basically cancel it out anyway. I truly don't believe that, because I've tried doing that in the past and it leaves like a grayish tone over my eyebrows, and that is the last thing I want. I don't want people to think I have gray eyebrows. So I always just go in and wipe off the excess foundation around my brows and on my brows. You'll see there's like a little mark now where I took off a little too much foundation, and that's when you just take your beauty blender and you just go right back over it again, just like this, and just kind of smooth it out right there, right along the edges and a little bit underneath. But now you can see that I don't have a ton of foundation on my brows. They look natural. They don't look gray or white. So I always go through and make sure I do it right away after I'm done applying my foundation and concealer, just because I don't want to forget and then go and start to do my brows and then I'm like, crap, I have a ton of foundation still left in my brows. It's a good habit to get into, just to do it as soon as you're done with your foundation. Just wipe your brows off a little bit. Same with your lip area as well. I've already kind of done that. I wiped it off and just, you know, I don't like to sit here and talk to you guys with caked on foundation on my lips and my brows. I just can't stand it. Now we're gonna move into adding a little bit of powder to the face. Now, I really am liking the way that this e.l.f. primer is making my skin look. I look photoshopped. I don't know if you guys can tell on the camera, but in person, like my skin looks literally like I took like a smoothing tool and just smoothed my entire skin out. It's amazing. So I definitely am saying that this is pretty good. I don't know how it's gonna wear throughout the day, compared to the Tatcha primer, but this one is very, very good. I will give it that. So I'm going to be taking my J01 brush from Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics, and I'm going to be taking my Laura Mercier translucent setting powder. I'm just going to dip into that powder and just a little bit of it into areas I know I'm going to get a little bit oily. This e.l.f. Putty Primer, it does leave a little bit of a sheen to your skin, so if you've got dry skin, this is going to be a really great primer for you, because it almost is like a balm for your face. For anyone that has oily skin as well, it's going to be great because it's got squalene in it. Squalene is a balancing product, so it helps to keep your skin really hydrated, but it also helps to balance your oil production. So throughout the day, you're not going to be kind of bleeding oil through your makeup if you use this primer, which is going to be cool. At least that's what it says it's going to do. I haven't tried it enough to know, but that's what the product says it's going to do. So now I'm going to just take a little bit of Laura Mercier translucent setting powder right in these areas here that I know I get a little bit more oily, and I'm just lightly dusting it onto my nose and right on the cheeks right here and along the sides of my nose. I'm being careful not to use too much because I really don't like a very mattified look. Even though I do have oily skin, I still don't like to look overly mattified. I just feel like that's when you turn into cake face, and I don't like that. I am taking a little bit and sweeping it right underneath the eye, and I'm really kind of pushing it with the brush like that, so that it just leaves my under eye looking really nice and smooth, but not caked up. So we're gonna now move into contouring and bronzing. For both, I'm just gonna be using this Milani bronzer in the shade Sunkissed number 2. Looks like this. It smells like coconuts. It smells really good. We're gonna go into this bronzer now. I'm using a flat top kabuki brush from BH Cosmetics from their Rose Quartz set. This is their number 4 brush. I'm gonna be kind of just dragging it in here, picking up a little bit of that product. I'm gonna tap a little bit of the excess off. And then to start, I'm just gonna stamp this in the area that I want to contour my face. So I want it right here. So keep in mind when you're placing your bronzer on your skin or your contour that you want to make sure that you keep it as high as possible, because the higher you raise your cheekbones up with your contour, the higher they're gonna look and the more sculpted they're gonna look. If you start to go like this and drag it down here, it's completely negating the purpose of contouring your face, because it's basically looking like your cheekbones start all the way down here, and you definitely don't want that because it's gonna make your face look like it's drooping rather than looking like it's sculpted. Now, I haven't blended it yet. I'm gonna be using a different brush to blend it. And then we're gonna take the other side too and try and look straight on in your camera or in your mirror when you're doing this, and just kind of try and make sure that you're matching it up in the same spot as the other side. And like I said, I kind of pull it upward a little bit. I'm not pulling it too high because I don't want it to go into the area that I'm doing my blush and my highlight, but I do want it to sit a little bit higher because I want to give my cheeks a little bit more of a sculpted look. Now I'm going to start on my jawline, and I'm just going to carve out a shape first, and making sure that you're dividing this back area too and bringing it down and underneath rather than on top, because it's going to make your jaw look just that much more sculpted. And now my contour obviously on my cheeks looks really like crazy harsh, and we aren't going to leave it like that obviously. And then I'm going to apply it right here on the top of my forehead too. And obviously I'm not blending it yet. And then I am going to apply some right here. If you add a little bit of contour right there in your hollow of your temple, it just makes your cheekbone look that much more sculpted, as you guys can see from side to side. My bone structure on this side looks like I've got that Angelina Jolie cheek going on, where I'm just like, and this side looks like it's a little bit more just like plump, you know? So once you add that little extra bit of contour right there, it makes a huge difference in the structure of your face. And then make sure you're also blending it up a little bit into the hairline. You don't want it to look like your bone structure isn't natural. I'm going with my BH number 3 brush from the Rose Quartz set, and I'm just gonna start buffing this out and buffing it into my skin. And this was a clean brush. I didn't pick up any extra bronzer on it. I have all the bronzer I need on my face. If you feel like you ever need to go back in and add more, you can, but I have as much as I need on my face, and I'm just gonna blend that out right now. Now, if you guys see, my contour came up just a little bit high, like right there. I'm just gonna take my beauty blender that has a little bit of foundation on it, and I'm just gonna smooth it right along there, and it kind of cuts that down and eliminates the need to go in with, concealer or something like that. You don't have to go that harsh. Make sure that you're getting a little bit of bronzer on your ears, because you don't want your ears to be like stark white and then your, face and neck and everything is nice and bronzy. Keep your contour kind of concentrated back here on your cheek so that it's giving your cheek a more lifted appearance. If you drag it down too far, it's going to start giving your cheeks a really rounded appearance and very deep, and you don't want that. When I'm blending this, I'm blending kind of in upward motions. I'm not blending like this and downward. I'm blending up like this in really gentle, fast strokes, because that's what's going to give me the nice contoured line that I have here. We're going to obviously go in a little bit here and contour right here with a little bit of powder, just to keep it looking really nice and snatched and sculpted, because right now it's looking a little bit messy right there, and I don't like that. And now just taking it on the forehead, I kind of always hold my hair back and work it back into the hairline. I like to take my damp beauty blender now and just kind of run it right along my forehead, just in case there's any lines there. Same with right here. I like to blend it in nicely so that there's no harsh lines. And right around here as well. And I'm doing this really, really light-handed. Now I'm going to be taking Jacqueline's powder, her Luminous Setting Powder, and this is in the shade Do Me. And I'm just going to be taking this on the edge of my beauty sponge right here, and I'm just going to dip into that powder a very slight bit, just like that. I'm going to dip it into the lid just so that it coats it a little bit more evenly. And I can press it into a little bit more powder. So it should look like that. And we're going to take it now and really carve out that cheekbone here. So you're seeing on this side how it's looking a little bit more pinched in here, like I face tuned it. And then we're gonna add a little bit of blush while that is kind of baking. I'm not gonna let it sit on there for too long, just the amount of time that I'm doing my blush. I'm gonna be taking my Maybelline Fit Me blush in the shade Peach, and we're gonna be putting that on the tops of our cheeks. And this blush, if I hold it up to the camera, you guys will be able to see it. It's got a little bit of a luminescence to it. It's really a beautiful blush. It applies so nicely. So when I'm applying my blush, I keep it concentrated more up here, and then I softly fade it into the apples of my cheeks, just so that it's like a really nice seamless look. But you don't want to concentrate it too much on the center of your cheeks, because that gives your face a more rounded appearance. And if you want to keep your face nice and sculpted and contoured looking, you're going to want to keep it towards the tops of your cheeks up here. I like to tap it first and blend it gently into that contour, just like that. And then I'm going to take a little bit more blush and I'm going to blend it, starting in circular motions like this. Now I'm going to take that beauty blender with a little bit of that concealer and foundation still left on it, and I'm just going to take it right along the top and right into the middle here and blend it softly up. Now I'm going to be taking my Jaclyn Hill Morphe Collab, the JH07 brush, and I'm just going to be lightly dusting that powder away. When you look to the side, it looks like your cheekbones were sculpted by Michelangelo himself. Now I'm going to go into a little light nose contouring for you guys. So nose contouring is definitely different because this will work on most people's faces. Nose contouring doesn't always work. If you've got a different shaped nose than mine, you're going to need to contour your nose just a little bit differently. And I want to have more people on my channel, and I want to do their makeup for you to show you the different ways that you can contour different face shapes and different nose and different bone structure. So I definitely will have that on my channel in the near future, just not yet, especially with all this coronavirus stuff. I'm going to dip into that same bronzer from Milani with my JH03 brush from her collection, and I'm going to just take this super lightly and just kind of swipe it in the bronzer. And I'm going to take this right along my nose, and I'm going to connect it into my brow, and you'll see how I do that. So I go like this. Like, look at how different it looks with just that one little swipe. It's amazing what contouring does to your face if you contour it correctly. And now watch as I take it and blend it into my eyebrow. I'm going to show you from one side to the other what it looks like. And I make sure I raise my eyebrow up and look a little bit like shocked or surprised. And I blend it into that brow. And now look at this side compared to this side. This side is like so sculpted. You can see it from the side a lot more. It makes my nose look really nice and sculpted and straight compared to this side. Now, I really don't have a hard nose to contour, but even though I have a pretty decent nose, contouring it just makes it look even more amazing. So don't forget to contour your nose if you're looking to contour your whole face. Just add, even if you just do this and add a little bit of warmth to your nose, you don't have to go into really contouring it and cutting it and all that kind of stuff. You just do this little step and just add a little bit of contour to the sides. It makes a huge difference. I always like to make sure I do this step before I do my brows as well, because I'm pushing powder into my brows. And if I have my Dip Brow Pomade from Anastasia on my brows, it's gonna get, you know, it's gonna still look lighter, because this powder is obviously lighter than my dip brow that's like a dark chocolate brown. So, you know, you wanna make sure that you've got this step done before you go in with your brows. And I kinda like to bring it into a point on my nose, so you can honestly see where it goes shoop, you can see straight down, and then I buff it out up here. And this is how I figured out it works for my nose. It could be totally different for yours. You can obviously still try these steps and see how it works for you and modify it any way that you need to. Now, what's gonna take this contour to the next level is taking a little sponge like this, my Morphe concealer now, and I'm gonna dip into that concealer a little bit, just a smidge, and I'm gonna press it into the side of my nose on both sides. And I'm gonna just blend it. I'm also kind of taking it up into the socket of my eye, just like that. One last thing to take this to the next level, I'm going to take a little teeny tiny bit more of concealer, and I'm going to take the tip of this little beauty sponge right here, dip it into that concealer, and I'm going to drag it lightly down the center of my nose, and then blend it with my finger. So now when I look straight on, it's looking really nice and sculpted in the front. And when I turn to the side, it's looking really nice and straight. So now we're gonna go in and we're gonna highlight our face. So my highlighting routine is super, super simple. I really do a very light hand when I highlight. I'm gonna be taking my J01 brush, and I'm gonna be taking my Flash palette from Jaclyn Cosmetics, and I'm really gonna be going into these 3 shades here. This one's just a little bit too yellow for me. I have to kind of go in with these 3 shades, particularly this one and this one. So just to kind of take this look to the next level, I add a little bit of the blush topper first, which is the shade Mesmerize right here. This brush is actually meant for the loose powder that you're supposed to set your entire face with, but I like to use this for my highlighter because it keeps it really sheer and really soft and pretty, and it doesn't add too much product to my face. And literally so lightly dusted over my cheek. Now you can see it catches the light just a smidge more. So now we're gonna be taking the 2 shades on the top here, Gleam and Iced, and I'm gonna be blending that on that exact same brush. And I literally just drag my brush across them both like that, tap it off just a smidge, and then I follow right here, right on the top of my cheekbone. When you're doing your highlighter, you wanna keep it right here in kind of a more straight line, and you don't want to take it all the way up onto this part right here. So it's going to look muddy if you take your highlighter and go right over that contour, so make sure you're keeping it down here. If you want to, you can go right above where you contoured, right above your brow bone, and pull it up. And that'll give your brow bone a little bit of a lift, right here where your brow arches. And then just taking a small amount, and I dust right over the forehead in the center, just so that my skin looks really nice and glassy. And then last but not least, I highlight my nose a little bit. So I'm just gonna go in now with my J02 brush from Jaclyn Cosmetics, and I'm gonna still dip into those 2 shades right on the top, and I'm just gonna lightly drag the brush through them and put it right here on the center of my nose, being careful not to drag it down too much, and then I do it right on the tip. So now I am finished with my face. It is fully done. And now I'm just gonna throw on my brows and mascara, and this look is gonna be completed. I will just check in with you guys quickly. I do absolutely love my Jaclyn Loose Powder for highlighting my brows in the shade Extra. This literally makes your brows look like they are on fleek. I am obsessed with this for highlighting my brow bone. It just pulls the whole look together. So this is my finished look for you guys today. I wanted to keep it really nice and full coverage, but I didn't want it to look full coverage. I want this to look really dewy and really fresh, but I want it to still give you that really sculpted look, especially from far away. When you're turning your head, people are gonna be like, oh my god, she has the bone structure of a Greek goddess. What is going on with her face? I need to know her foundation routine or her contour routine. And that's what I want you guys to learn how to do, and I want you guys to feel really confident when you have your makeup on like this, where it's a nice full coverage, but it's not gonna be making you look cakey or heavy. So if you guys enjoyed this foundation/contour routine, please give it a thumbs up. Do not forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you guys get notified every time that I post, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.